Yo. Welcome back to Blazy B, where I'm blazing on B. And I just got back from Guatemala. Guatemala. The reason I went to Guatemala was for fun. But I kind of felt bad. People kept asking us, like, why'd you guys choose Guatemala? And it was like, well, it was the cheapest flight. And basically I was like, yo, Dal, let's get out of the country. Where should we go? So we went based on just price and like hot or cold. And it was like, yeah, Guatemala City sounds great. And then, you plan a trip from there. And it was like, what could we do here? And whatever. So we kind of went to like three big locations. And the first one, so this was Dallas's pick. So it was kind of like we each had our own like must do's. And then it was like looking around, getting advice from other people. Shout out to Hannah. And it was like, figuring out where we should go, how to navigate this country, what all we want to fit in, because we're psycho. So we're down to take, the night bus and do all the things and bus for 11 hours one way. No big deal. We want to see these areas. So, okay. The first big thing, which I'm glad we started off with this, I was so nervous. Okay. So Dallas is like, we should do this volcano hike. And it's Acatenango. And this is a big dormant volcano next to a big active volcano that erupts often. During the day, you see smoke, but at night, you see all the lava and all the things like that. So, the purpose is to have an overnight camp trip up on the top, watch the lava of the Fuego volcano right next to you, basically. Okay, so we do this hike. We sign up through our hostel, Tropicana, and which was a great idea. But we had like a ton of people on our group was like 42 people. Okay. That's a lot of human beings. Um, and everyone had like a pack and everything. Totally great, fine. But like people did not have a lot in their pack. I had a lot in my pack. I also just have like heavy clothing. And I think my clothes are just big. So they have a lot of fabric, and then that fabric is heavy. And then everything is just like big, bulky, and heavy. And I just drink a lot of water. So I brought a lot of water, which weighs a fuck ton of weight. So I'm like with my pack, and also, this is like a new Amazon cheapo pack. My other one's just like ripped to shreds. It's just been like re-sewn, hand sewn. It was like crappy. Honestly, should have brought that. It's got like a back brace and everything. This one did not. And also, like, there's a massive gap between like the shoulder straps where they should be. So it would just see like sitting high, and you've got like a full on gap up top. Not good. So I ended up having to wear a towel. I went and bought a towel and like rolled it up and put it on my shoulders. Great move. Great move. So, okay, we initially sign up through this hostel. It's like, I think, $80 a person. They feed you, aka they give you some food to take with you as well. Um, to take to the top, to then they make it for you, right? So they're not having to carry everything. And so we take a bus there. It's like, okay, this is gonna be good. And like I had been just walking. I live in Illinois. I am at flatter than flat, but I'm like, okay, let's at least get in cardio. So like I'm just like walking a lot. I did some stairs, whatever, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take on this volcano. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And I'm looking it up. I'm kind of prepping my mind too. It's a 5,000 feet elevation gain in ends up being like 5 miles. Okay, like a 7K, 5 miles. So this motherfucker's just straight up. And so we get to the trailhead. Everybody's there. We're all renting poles. Great idea. It's steep. Gotta have poles. Great. Everyone's ready. Everyone's hype. So they just like, we start taking off. Great. Awesome. And okay. And I'm like, this is fine. This is fine. But it's just like, you're just going up constantly. And I am just feeling it already, like my breathing. I'm like, oh no. So I'm like a half an hour in, already debating, like, what happens if I don't make it? Truly what are my options right now if I can't handle this? Cuz at the moment I'm like I'm kind of dying, and we are just starting. We have like more point, and we've got a lot of like stopping points. But still, like I still have to hike this whole thing. So my breath is failing me. We get to the first stop and I sit down and I'm like, holy shit. Like I'm in it. This is gonna be something that tests my entire being. So we keep hiking up. I'm like not late, but I'm later than all these people that are totally fine. We've got a guy in our group that's barefoot. Okay, shirtless and barefoot. Totally great. All these people are just like walking. They're totally fine. And I'm like, oh man, this is not good. So, once by the time they get there and then I get there, the rest break is shorter for me, obviously. And so, okay, let's go. And I'm like, fuck, okay, one foot in front of the other. This is something. This is okay. I'm fine. This fine. This is okay. So keep going, keep going. And then I'm like, I'm getting hot. And this pack is really fucking heavy. It is really heavy. It's really heavy. And even like though it's like I've got it on my shoulders, I've got it totally cinched up to my back. I mean, I've got it in the right position as it could be to allow like my breath for me to breathe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing as best as I freaking can. And I'm like talking to the guides, I'm struggling in the back, but there are people behind me. So I'm not the last. That was my biggest. Just don't be the last. And so, but I'm struggling. But I'm talking to the guides, speaking Spanish. This is great. And by the time it's like lived in Costa Rica, they'd be like Pura Vida. It'd be great. So and they're just hiking on up and they're carrying a few people's bags. So they're for hire as well. They're not just like our food cooks and our guides and whatever. They are mules. so eventually it was like, all right, I think that's the move. Like you have to pay to drop out of this. Also, I don't want to drop out of this. I want to do this. This is good, but this is above my athletic ability at this point in time. I mean, I mean, it tested my whole being. Anyways, so it was like, okay, instead of like you need to do this, but get rid of the backpack and it's just like one foot in front of the other. Like you just deep breaths and keep going. It is okay. Get your headphones out, get in the zone, and like, you know what I mean? Better without anything on your back. And it really was. And I feel so bad. I kept calling the guy. So and they're like, okay, it's like 350 quetzales. And I'm like, damn, oh man. And then you like think about it, and that's like, $40. Hell fucking yeah, man. Absolutely. Take my bag. And then they kept passing off my bag to each other because it was so heavy. I felt so bad. Yeah. Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Big bag. But I did wear most everything that I brought. Like I wasn't cold. I had like layers. I was feeling good. I had snacky snack, that was, I wasn't pissed about what I packed after the fact because I did then have to take it down with me. So because you have to pay for a separate day. And I'm not going to take, down is chill. I can totally hike down. And so this hike takes us 6 hours to get up. Okay. 5 miles, 5,000 foot elevation gain, 6 hours. And so we finally make it around like 3 p.m. And I'm like, holy shit, did it. Dallas has crushed it. And she's drinking a beer. She's loving life. And we're like right across from this volcano. And it's just like there, you see it erupt, but still daylight. So it's only smoke. So then, hey, we all made it, clap by the fire, like make fire, like we did this. And then there was a few people that showed up a little later. So I felt pretty damn good that I wasn't the last one. That was big. But it was like, okay, anybody who wants to climb this active volcano, we're going to leave in like an hour. It costs this much money. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes there's cloud coverage. Like, we'll kind of see when it gets closer to leaving time, but like that's the potential plan. I, of course, am like, hell no, I'm good here. I am chilling. That was enough for me. Dallas is down. Dallas is hella down. A bunch of the boys are down. And so they end up taking the chance. They're like, you know what? Let's just do it. It was kind of clouded. But they were gonna do it. And they said it's an hour and a half there, and then they sit there for a while, and then an hour and a half back. But you're in the dark when you come back because they're leaving around like 4:30, whatever. So it is down and then up. And then on the way back, you go down and then you have to hike up. So I guess it was a hell of a hike. Even a couple, they went down and then they saw the way up and they were like, hell nah, like we're just gonna turn back. We're not, nah. And I guess that hike was way harder than the hike up. So props to those ones. Congrats, Dal. They ended up getting like ceremonial little necklaces at the end for people who did fuego. So it's that intense. And I was happy I did not partake in that, especially in like the dark. Damn. I mean, like, whoo, even barefoot dude put on shoes for that one. It got cold. And it was cool though, because then from camp, like this volcano is going. The lava is spurting out. You can hear it, you can see it. And then you see headlamps of everybody walking down at this point. It's completely dark. And you just follow these headlamps down. And then the lava goes, and you're like, oh God, like watch out, people. So that was cool to see from afar. That was just, it was like, it was a wild thing. It was wild. So that crew got back at 10:30 p.m. Everybody else went to bed. I stayed up to like rendezvous with Dal. And the people, so then it's like, you got to wake up in the morning, catch the sunrise. You're going to summit. You got to get up. They're leaving at like 3 a.m. or some shit. And I'm like, Dal, I'm not doing that. I am completely content. We got to get down this mountain. I'm good right here. So cool. She goes on that. Great. So then I wake up. I wake up at like 5:30, just catch the sunrise, sit there, and it was beautiful. And that morning it was crisp, right? And I realized I didn't have my gloves, couldn't find my gloves. I'm like, someone stole my fucking gloves. So all the bad scenarios of my gloves, and my gloves are like nice and warm, it's freaking cold. So I end up asking the guides. Well, turns out I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and left my gloves, and they found them down in like the bathroom area. And the bathroom area is like, a 5-gallon bucket that you go to the bathroom into. And just like, things underneath that area. So eventually, I think my gloves, I've narrowed it down, are what gave me 3 strains of E. coli and norovirus. Because I was like, yo, guys, I lost my gloves and I'm cold. And they were like, yo, we found these gloves, down by the shitters. And I was like, cool, awesome. And I put them right on and I wore them. And then I think I touched my face. And then I was like, damn, these smell like shit. But it's sunrise and I've got other priorities. So I'm like waiting for this like gorgeous sunrise, colors, and all the things. And then finally I go Purell the shit out of these gloves, but I continue to wear them because again, it's cold. And yeah, so that's definitely the cause. Definitely the cause of my E. coli, which, in country in Guatemala, I just planned for diarrhea. Whatever, you just plan for it. Either don't eat or plan that you have to have a toilet in about an hour and a half, So anyways, We have a morning, we have a breakfast, we have everything great, whatever. And it's like, okay, it's time to make our way down. And I'm packing up my massive fucking bag. And they're like, bleed Donnie, bleed Donnie. I'm like, all right, all right. So we get going, we get going. We've got poles. And they're like, well, it is so steep. You're going to want to run down this. So it takes us like 2 hours to get down this mountain. I mean, we are legit running, leaping. And I'm glad that I'm used to using like hiking poles. So I feel like they're like an extension of my arm. And you kind of like plant, jump. You're not like feet first and just like using them for whatever the fuck. You're really diving in and like sturdying yourself in all aspects. You know what I'm saying? So, um, we are trucking it down this mountain. Like by the time we get to a place, we're like, whoa, this stop was like our halfway lunch point. Like I can't believe we just breezed through that. We just crushed it. So that was kind of nice, going downhill. Um, my knees, they were struggling, but I wore two knee braces on the way down. I wore one on the way up, but I did have a muscle spasm on the way up that was like, fuck. But I pushed that one out. That was good. And I did put in my headphones for a while. I just had the beats going, at least in the background. And I also talked to this chick in another group. She was like an hour behind her group. And she was like, okay, I just do a step, step, breathe. Step, step, breathe. And then every time she did like a stair, it should be, just like a step, breath, step. I mean, it was so steep. It was even like Dallas even said it was rough. So that made me feel good. And it was just pretty loose too. So you're kind of sliding. It's a little sand like, but lava esque, And then these stairs are just wood planks shoved into the ground and they're big stairs. So you're like pressing on your knees and you're really using your effort to get up. Just freaking steep, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that hike was something fierce, and then going down was crazy. I mean, we were flying. It was crazy. So that that hike was nuts. I would say you can do it if you didn't have a pack. Like I think anyone's able to do it if you didn't have any weight on your back. So either hire someone to do that or pack a light pack, but it's cold up there. I want it to be like comfortable. So, oh man. But I'm glad we started off with that. Then I didn't have to worry about it the rest of the trip. And then I'm also very glad we did it. That's like a huge accomplishment in the start of the trip is hella dope. That's the way to do it. And to do something physical on a trip feels just like you freaking conquered the world. You freaking conquered the world. So, yeah, Acatenango, man. What's up?